Hey guys! The year is almost halfway over and I personally am freaking out because it seems like I haven't read anything this year. And truthfully, since I finished Lord of Shadows, I haven't read another book. I've started one, just haven't gotten very far into it. So I'm hoping by doing the mid-year book freakout tag, it will motivate me to pick up the pace in my reading. Or to at least finish the book I am currently on. Question 1, best book you've read so far in 2017. I think truthfully that was The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I really loved the writing and the characters and just the overall plot of this book everything about this book was fantastic. Question 2, best sequel that you've read so far in 2017. And that is hands down Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. This book is just heartbreakingly fantastic, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to mentally handle waiting for the third and final book of the series. I really don't. And I'm sort of blaming this book for me not reading a whole lot this month because I think this has put me into like a mini book hangover, which hopefully I will be getting over soon. Question 3, new release you haven't read yet but you want to. I truthfully like to read all the new releases, but the one that is currently on my TBR to be read next is Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. I've read a whole lot of her books and I'm anticipating this to be just a quick fun read like the rest of them. Question 4, most anticipated release in the second half of the year. And this is hands down Magnus Chase and the Ship of the Dead, the third and final book of the Magnus Chase trilogy. Truthfully, any Rick Riordan book is going to be a most anticipated read for me, but I'm really excited about this book because it was hinted at in the final book that Percy was going to come into this, so I really hope that's true and I cannot wait to get the book. Question 5, biggest disappointment. And that has to be Keep Holding On by Suzanne Cosanti. I would hold up the book, but I got rid of it. So, yeah. It was a real big disappointment. It was a subject that I've been wanting to read about for a long time, and it just wasn't done very well. And I think the main reason for that was the book needed to be about twice as long as it was to adequately tell a story like that. I'm not saying it was like the most terrible book I've ever written. There were a few good points about it, but it's definitely my most disappointing read of the year. Question 6, biggest surprise. 5th book in the Bloodline series, Silver Shadow, just really surprised me with the turn it took, and it was really heart-wrenching and it gave me a lot of anxiety. I wanted to learn more about the alchemist, but this was just a turn that I didn't expect the series to take. Question 7, favorite new author. They can either be a debut author or just new to you. For me, it's definitely a new to you author, and that is Charlotte Huang. I picked this book up knowing nothing about the author and very little about the book itself, but once I started reading it, I really didn't want to stop reading it because I just really got fascinated in the story and how judgmental the characters are to one another. Question 8, newest fictional crush. And to be honest, I don't think I've gotten a newest fictional crush this year. I think the closest I've come to having a crush on a new character is Adrian. And I know he was in Vampire Academy, which I read last year, but we really don't get to know Adrian, so I think I'm gonna have to just go with Adrian for this one. Question 9, newest favorite character. Definitely Meadow Woodson. He is just a really badass character that I just loved reading about. She's also a very mentally and emotionally strong character because with everything that happened to her, anyone else would have went completely insane and just started killing people. Which, let's be honest, this world doesn't need help with that. Question 10, a book that made you cry. We're not going to talk about it. Question 11, a book that made you happy. That's probably going to be Everything by Nicola Yoon because I've read quite a few depressing books this year, and even though I had my problems and frustrations with this book, I definitely really enjoyed the first half of the book and it did make me smile quite a few times. Question 12, favorite book to film adaptation that I've watched this year. That would have to be Beauty and the Beast because that's actually the only movie I've watched this year. So yeah. And it really was a good movie. For question 13, I'm going to be doing the booktube version question, and that is favorite video you've made so far this year. For that, I think it's going to be my bookish pet peeves video, mainly because it's very different than the normal videos I make. Question 14, most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. For that, I think I'm going to go with Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I love everything about this cover, from the color scheme to the twilight feel of the cupped hands in the front and the artwork for the characters. Question 15, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I've never actually decided on books that I have to read that year. I normally just choose what books I'm going to read monthly. I think the only books I actually plan to read throughout a year are like the really popular series I'm into, like Lord of Shadows came out and I had to read it, and then The Dark Prophecy came out, had to read it. And the only other book I actually plan to read this year is Magnus Chase and the Ship of the Dead. Otherwise, I really don't decide on what books I need to read in that year. It's all pretty much based on how I'm feeling and what genre I'm into at the moment. Well, that has been the mid-year freak out book tag, and I have to say I actually feel a little bit calmer. And I don't think I'm doing too bad. I only have about 40 books left to read this year, so no pressure. But thinking about it, I probably should go read a little bit more before I turn in for the night. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!